Hello, my name is Prime and welcome back to ETS2 Showcases. So, in today's video, we are going to be hauling some rough terrain forklifts from here just outside of Honningsvåg, and we will be eventually heading down to Alta. However, to start, we'll be heading even farther north to what is the most northern point of the ETS2 map. So I think it's going to be a truly stunning delivery, driving across a beautiful section of Norway and doing so here very early in the morning at just around 2 a.m. in-game time. And thanks to our northern location, we have a little bit of extra sunlight to help us guide our way. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our MAN truck started up and get on the road. In today's video, I am not using any third-party modifications. Everything you hear and see is Euro Truck Simulator 2 through and through. All right, let's get rolling away from this absolutely beautiful wind farm depot here on the hills here along the Norway coastline here in the northern section. What a beautiful region of the Nordic Horizons DLC. Well, at least based off of the screenshots and videos I've seen thus far, but we're here exploring it, at least for me, the very first time, and I'm sure many of you have already been up here. For those who have purchased the Nordic Horizons DLC, which I know many of you have, it is truly stunning indeed. This beautiful natural landscape as a cinematic camera that has a mind of its own. It is truly stunning to see. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I certainly am. It is great to be back here in the Nordic Horizons DLC. Great to be back here in ETS2 overall. Got lots of content coming here for ETS2 once again, now that the mad rush of Louisiana has kind of gone to a bit of a subside now, and we're back into Nordic Horizons, which is absolutely fantastic. I know many of you have been thoroughly enjoying the DLC and it being now one of the most popular map expansions for ETS2. That is for sure. No surprise there. It is, well, quite simply stunning, at least if you take a look at, well, what we have to offer here, even in today's delivery as we get to the main area. So as I said, we're going to head up, well, the opposite direction of actually where we need to go first here, to the most northern point here in the ETS2 map, and by technicality, I guess the most northern main road accessible location in Europe, if my memory serves me correctly, from the is it North Cape or North Cap location that we're going to, the monuments up there. It is a big tourist attraction, obviously a pretty significant landmark, and great to see here in ETS2, and so it'll be fun to go ahead up there and, well, probably get a screenshot for today's thumbnail as well up there, to be honest with you. So that's probably what's going to be on this video, so there you go. It's going to be really neat indeed to see how that goes. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the Winterland event, the Woven Wonders of Winterland. If I, once again, memory serves me correctly on that one. There's always a new name for these events. Regardless, Winterland event is back, the Christmas or holiday event for ETS2, and ATS is back in the community, which is great to see. So many community events going on right now, my friends. If you own both ETS2 and ATS, you have got a lot of trucking on your hands. Obviously, the cruising, whether it's Nordic Horizons or cruising Louisiana, if you're a fan of ATS as well. And then obviously the Winterland event to go along with it. Plenty of delivery opportunities for you going across the maps and various locations. Absolutely incredible to see, and I'm really excited. We're going to be doing a proper video on that event coming up very, very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And honestly, to be honest, Christmas is rolling up so incredibly quickly. It's kind of incredible. And that video, as that camper van was trying to pass us going up the hill, which is totally smart, it's really incredible to see, to be honest with you, that it's rolling up this. It's crazy. It's crazy how fast Christmas has been rolling up, and well, we'll be doing videos on the Winterland event very soon. Apparently there's AI traffic now, or there's more of it in the Winterland map itself, and I think there may have been a couple extra little tweaks here and there, which is great to see. And that camper van is mighty destined on trying to pass us, isn't he? That or I'm driving on the wrong side of the road, but I really don't think I am. So I think we're okay. So we've actually got to make a left here and head the wrong direction technically. Oh, this is actually just a rest point. This is where we need to stop or yield. All right, let's head left and get rolling. So, by the absolute magic of, well, nothing, the game is running a whole lot smoother, my friends. I don't know if it's just because we happen to be up here. There's not a ton of extra vegetation, or what is going on with everything here. So far, and I've been doing some extra testing, ETS2 out of nowhere is now running just fine for me. And maybe we'll have to see if that stays true as we head towards Alta today. But so far, so good. Very few hiccups, if any. And during this video, I've also got, well, Task Manager here in Windows open alongside my recording software, so I can see everything that's going on with computer metrics and see if there's any form of correlation between the drop in frame rates here in the game and any of the, well, things going on with my computer components itself. And again, based off of initial observations, there's not really any correlation when it happens, because I've got plenty of dedicated GPU memory to spare, so that is not the problem. So yeah, there's some questionable bits, let's say that. Questionable bits with 1.57. Some people are getting affected, some people aren't. It comes and goes. It is what it is, but at least right now it's running half decent, so can't complain too much. Lots of tunnels as we snake our way through this beautiful region here in the Nordic Horizons DLC. As I said, a DLC that has been so incredibly popular, and admittedly, I've been actually missing it. I have been missing it a lot. Louisiana is absolutely fantastic, but I'm going to say this. I think Nordic Horizons, besides the fact that it is just simply a larger DLC, so, you know, bigger is better situation, there truly is so much to try and discover and explore here in Nordic Horizons that I've been missing the opportunities to actually come over here and do that. So far, we have now, on the ATS side of things, if you've been following along the channel on that side of the video content creation, we've really covered most of the map now already in Louisiana because, well, the state isn't as big simply as the Nordic Horizon region here. It's just simple geography, but at the same time, it's kind of unfortunate because we've now pretty much covered most of the territory there in Louisiana. Not all of it. Got a couple cities left that we want to touch on, and a few other deliveries, of course. We'll be still driving up through there. But there's still so much here in the Nordic Horizons DLC that I have simply not even touched. And that is something, well, we're trying to hit today, coming up here to the most northern point and seeing what these beautiful Nordic little settlements are as we drive through here. The twisting roads, you know, technically maybe not the best thing to be doing with our load on the trailer, but you know what? We're doing it anyways because I'm Prime Simulation and we can take some creative liberty, even if this is not the most, well, efficient nor maybe accurate thing to be definitely exploring up in this section. Ideally, you would not be taking forklifts on a flatbed probably up to this location, unless if they needed to have construction work done and they needed, you know, pallets of goods unloaded, but because, well, they are all-terrain or rough terrain forklifts, so they could handle what I'm assuming is the terrain and potential, you know, rockiness of the area up ahead. Regardless, we're just kind of doing a detour because we happen to be up here in this area and, well, we wanted to explore it. And I was honestly considering picking up this job from the wind turbine, well, or the wind farm, sorry, that we picked up from. And I was tempted just to then teleport myself up here and then drive away. But I didn't feel like that was the correct thing to do. I felt the journey was required and I wanted to, well, show off that wind turbine. I keep calling it wind turbine farm, just wind farm. I really wanted to show it off a bit because it was, well, really neat to see, and of course the road to it was quite nice as well, so couldn't really complain there and really wanted to do that. So I thought a little bit of a longer delivery, can't complain with that at all, and we'll just roll with it. And that is exactly what we are doing, and what a beautiful, beautiful landscape here. I am wondering if the lack of vegetation detail, just simply the lack of trees, is actually helping the performance of the game. And that has been part of my testing theory, honestly, with you, is what has changed? Is it shadowing? Is it just straight up vegetation rendering and quality in certain areas of the maps that affect it more than others? What's been going on? But so far, we've been rocking, like, I'd say 99% of the time, dead on 60 frames per second. No big hiccups compared to previous videos. It's been beautiful. So we're going to run with it. And I'm sure I'll talk about it more if we notice anything otherwise. But vegetation could genuinely be part of it. The introduction of HDR support, who knows what it did with the shadowing. Very well could be something at play with that. Well, another thing for me to test on another day. Well, looks like we're getting nice and close to our, well, shall we say adventure point up here. Well, I guess we'll go technically through the ticket booth. We'll go through here. Just keep rolling through. Even though we probably should have stopped and said hello. Well, look at that. Oh, got some paragliders. Parasailers. These are one is two. Oh, there's a curb there. Did I go to the wrong side of the curb? No, I didn't. Should we do the viewpoint? I think we should do the viewpoint. It's always nice to see these things, and, well, what's the point of exploring a beautiful tourist location here at ETS2 if you do not show off the beautiful cinematics? And beautiful indeed it is. It is incredible to see the detail level here in ETS2. I've said it before, I've said it again, especially here in Nordic Horizons. These are the, well, type of things that, you know, even maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, would this have been included in the DLC for where it's located? Hard to say. Maybe it would have been. Maybe it wouldn't have. With the addition of project coaches, or at least on the horizon, that is, no pun intended for this DLC, that's a big feature for, or at least this location is a big feature for that. And I believe that was even explicitly said in a blog post about this particular location. It is true. Project Coaches is, in many ways, besides the gameplay aspect of, well, driving buses around in ETS2, is helping drive the more creative side of the maps in terms of the different landmarks. Putting an extra focal point on that in the whole map, well, scheming, really, in the DLC design and implementation. That's a focus now. It's always been a focus, but maybe for a focus farther out, more in a distance shot, shall we say. Previously, it was always, or more commonly in mind, just to focus on the logistics side of things, which is great. But these landmarks are really cool to see in something like the globe here and just the overall scenery. And it's great to have it here in ETS2, and I look forward to Project Coaches and the future DLCs as well for ETS2 that will surely only get better somehow. All right, well, we should probably try and get up around the globe up there, mainly because I want a screenshot for myself, but either way, let's head up and around here. There's a parking lot just back on the left there, and I think we can go around this way, I'm going to assume. Avoid the blocks. See, this is where the off-road forklifts would come in handy if they were doing construction up here. Not that it looks like they're doing construction. Oh, well, there is a backhoe. Well, maybe he's just there to clear snow or something whenever that happens to hit the location. There it is. The most northern point here in ETS2 has been achieved. What a beautiful sight to behold. Can we just take this in for a second? Amazing scenery indeed. The ocean off in the distance here. Big cliff edge as well, by the way. Absolutely incredible scenery here in ETS2. You've got to love it. One screenshot acquired, and let's get rolling back down the mountain road we just came from, actually, and then we'll continue down through to Alta, as I said earlier and a few times in this video. Get rolling to our actual delivery point. As the sun, well, I guess becomes more prominent. It's technically always been up because we're so far north, but, well, you know, we're just gonna roll with it. It's technically becoming further into the day. It's about 5:30 a.m. In game time. So the sun genuinely is starting to rise a bit more, getting a little bit brighter, which is great to see. I mean, that's the other thing about Nordic Horizons, is the attention to detail with the lighting that comes along with it. Obviously, being so far north here in Norway, the lighting, and depending on the time of year, really does affect well, in terms of how dark the area actually gets. Of course, if you get weather events and so on, it can affect things, but just a general lighting. For example, we are at 1:30 to 2 a.m. Is when this video technically started in-game, unless if it dragged on a bit farther from when I remembered last. it was still quite bright and really never got dark. And actually the long haul video that I did not too long ago here on ETS2, well, that one, the ASMR video, that technically went into night, but it just stayed sorta ish bright. Not fully bright, but it had some light to it. Oh, and that car got very close. Got to stay over to the right-hand side of this road. And that was a big point of it. It was very interesting for me to see, and that was actually kind of nice, heading up more from the southern end of Nordic horizons up through to a more northern-ish end. Just seeing how the lighting did, well, shift a little bit at least. It was very neat to see, and that's an attention to detail I appreciate. And again, as DLCs expand here in ETS2, and as we move, well, potentially out of, well, most likely out of continental Europe itself for future DLCs, or I guess confirmed technically, it is great to see that coming, and it opens the door for so many new things for the game as well. As the software has talked about before, and I believe live streams and so on, about new lighting improvements and new visual improvements coming to the engine in the next, well, year or two or so on. They're still working at things. The game is still continuing to evolve, and it probably always will at this rate. It's incredible to see, and their dedication to keeping a number of generations of hardware in the performance window, shall we say, for the games is quite impressive, considering the quality they're starting to push. I've talked about plenty of times was the weird performance hiccups with 1.57, or since the update, I should say. But again, in today's video, everything is running back to normal. So again, is it just a particular thing with my computer, and it's just in between recording previous episodes and now? There have been Windows updates. There have been other things going on. I think even the game is slightly updated as well, particularly with the Winterland event coming in, where little bugs patched just behind the scenes. That is something on the ATS side I'm going to have to, well, try out a little bit more and see if that's a common thing. And as we head down through to Alta, maybe we'll be able to see if that's a common trait in ETS2, if it's now, well, kind of solved itself out. That'd be great. But regardless, back to the whole point, there's still many generations of computers that can run this game very well. And we've got to make a right-hand turn here. Don't want to go the wrong way. And it's very impressive to see. And as we continue to move forward, obviously SC Software does have to leave some hardware in the past. That's just the nature of the game, but there's some pretty, well, sizable gapping in terms of the compatible hardware that the game runs well. And that is great to see. It is truly great to see. Obviously, faster storage devices and so on for older systems will significantly help performance regardless of the actual hardware in terms of CPU and GPU itself, just because of how the map detailing is now. It's, again, incredible to see. So incredibly excited for the future of ETS2 with the map DLCs we have confirmed, let alone the other reworks and so on that are underway. So speaking about that, we recently had a blog post on the Benelux rework. It's actually been a while, if I remember correctly, since having a blog post on that, so it's great to see another one being talked about, and that was about Luxembourg City. A very small capital city, but a great one indeed, and the screenshots were beautiful. There was no other way around it. It was incredible to see, and I did a little community post on it. Like I've been doing quite a bit recently with technically what would have been Prime News, but just because of my, I'm going to be honest with you, mainly because of my capacity with some of the other things I'm working on for you in the background. And plus, things have been going well just in that sense. Still get lots of news, maybe not in the full video form, but you get to see, well, now all the screenshots, or the vast majority of them. If it is a significant video, I'll still do a Prime News, but for most of the main updates, I think the community posts are working okay. YouTube seems to be handling it well for the algorithm as well, so no one's been complaining. Let me know if you really want all Prime News videos to come back, but so far I think the balance I've been running with some of the key things has been working out well. Regardless, Luxembourg City is going to be great. Great to see Benelux getting reworked, a region that, well, needs to be reworked, and it's great to see that being completed as well. But then we also have the UK rework, which is probably the biggest rework announcement they've ever done to date, in my opinion, because it has been the most long-awaited rework probably ever. And it's great to see the UK is going to look incredible. I mean, it's going to be simply like playing a whole new game in that region, given that that map, many of you corrected me, was from even farther back from when ETS2 technically came in. That map and most of the UK, if not all of it, was even, well, definitely from ETS2, but even potentially 18, or not 18 wheels still, whatever. There was some earlier versions as well, like Scania truck simulator or something like that. Kind of crazy. And hopefully I'm getting my information on that, but I definitely saw that the ETS2 section of UK, most of the map was actually from a previous game itself. So again, it's old. That's the whole point. And seeing the rework, it is going to be incredible. We haven't had a ton, at least as of recording this video, a ton of information on it yet. Too many showcases of it. Either way, whenever it finally drops at some point, that is going to be huge. And then, of course, to pair along with that rework release, I'm assuming it will coincide with the Isle of Ireland DLC release as well, which is great. Great to have that section. Well, it'll be completed, really, because in Iceland, off the coast of the UK, will be then completed as well. By that point, at least that's as far as we know. So again, that whole section of the map should be pretty much good. There could be some other islands that SEA Software could decide to technically do, but realistically, that's going to be that. So again, really neat to see. Really excited for the future map expansions like that. And then where else do they go? There are so many other areas that SEA Software can go, and oh, look at that, we're getting just a little bit of herky-jerkiness. Nothing too crazy. Things aren't capping out yet. Everything's looking nice and fine on my stuff. Weird. Weird indeed. There's not a whole lot I can say other than just weird. Yep. Weird indeed. More vegetation, it immediately starts to hiccup. That's incredible. Do I need to turn down vegetation quality just to try it out? Do that in another video. That's a plan, because as soon as we got the vegetation, performance did not change in terms of load, believe it or not, on the system. But the game is hiccuping. That is incredibly weird. Incredibly weird indeed. Anyways, where else are we going? Well, there's so many different areas. ETS2, obviously some other sections still technically in Europe that should be expanded. Russia is the biggest one, but then heading potentially more towards the Asian market as well. As far as I know, SEA Software is planning on expanding the boundaries of ETS2 outside of simply the Euro region, or what is more traditionally known as Europe itself. Definitely outside of continental Europe, but just, you know, moving forward with the game and outside. Similar to what's happening with ATS. Moving into Canada, that is now confirmed with British Columbia, but there is potential future expansion otherwise as well. It wasn't called USA Simulator, just like this was not called, well, even EU Simulator, or for example for European Union or anything like that. It's technically open to interpretation, and I think SEA Software is going to run with that. Is that, you know, maybe the direction everyone in the community would like it to go? Probably not. You can't please everyone, but it is definitely a direction they're open to, and to be honest, I'm open to it as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you get the DLCs you want for the game. So even if they start expanding outside of those areas, if they can support it in terms of making sure other areas are reworked and so on, and their map teams and just the company itself can grow to meet that demand, I don't see why not. And let's be honest, most people are going to buy those DLCs if they're anything like the quality we've seen with Nordic Horizons. Many of you, including myself, are the situation of if SCS Software put out a DLC, 99% of the time you are picking it up. That's just the simple case about it. And there's a good point, because they've, for the most part, have an incredible track record with DLCs. There's a few flops. Not gonna say that it's been perfect run. But for the most part, pretty much every DLC they put out is pretty good, especially on the map side. To me, at this point, it also brings up the whole, Heart of Russia conversation, and, whenever things are going to happen in Russia, Ukraine territory again, when are those areas going to be, well, I guess expanded upon, or for the sake of Ukraine, added? When are things going to come in, especially Heart of Russia? Well, that DLC is now, well, by technicality, many years old. So have map teams been reworking it behind the scenes? So then if and when it inevitably releases, because it's technically still coming soon or to be announced on the Steam store page, the question to kind of go along with that is, well, if you have, say, Iceland release and then they drop the Heart of Russia DLC, if it hasn't been updated, what is the quality actually going to look like compared to, say, the Iceland DLC? And then immediately afterwards, you have the Isle of Ireland DLC that looks like, again, potentially a whole different level. You could almost do a weird stagger effect. And could that affect the performance of the Heart of Russia DLC, given other factors as well? Maybe it could. Would it maybe not affect it? Very well could. May not. And especially if SCS Software does slight updates to it, maybe it's fine. Or maybe it was such an incredible DLC to start with in terms of what we were seeing. And to be honest, Heart of Russia was looking very good at the point of when we were talking about it a lot in blog posts. It could actually still hold up. And I think it maybe could. Maybe some slight tweaks to make sure project coaches would work well in it. But either way, I think it could be it could blend in fairly well. Now, the point to go along with that is that the few areas of Russia that we have already technically haven't been reworked or touched in quite some time, or just simply at all. And that could be a point of, as soon as we get a rework happening on some of that, maybe Heart of Russia, that's the signal. But I feel like the current, well, world events that are happening in those regions for the areas affected, I gotta be careful how I say things, not because I'm afraid to talk about it, more so just because of the wonderful platforms that you may or may not be watching this video on. I feel like once those things hopefully come to an end sooner than later, I feel like that's where we'll get to see some more development on that, because then SCS Software can just kind of move on with things, hopefully. Admittedly, I'm at the point where it's like I understand why they're holding off, but I think for the vast majority of players now, things have, trying to choose my words carefully, the general view on things occurring, and especially just with the region involved, I think people would be like, well, it's just an area of the world, and we just prefer to have a map expansion. It's been enough years, the point has been made, the support has been given in terms of the charities things. You know, maybe it's just time to say, let's expand into another area of ETS2, of the ETS2 map again, and just enjoy some trucking. Again, it's a difficult conversation and thought to have. One that is mixed emotions in many ways, and we're going to try and come this way, I think. One that is a bit of a difficult one to figure out which is the best way to go. Again, I say it's probably getting to the point where we can see the Heart of Russia DLC come out. I don't want to say get away with it, but I think it could be well accepted for a number of people. But that's just my 2 cents. Maybe I am completely incorrect on that one. But again, it's just my opinion. So you can have yours as well. All right. Of course, in typical Prime Simulation fashion, I made this difficult. So we are going to use the ground clearance of this MAN to try and get back into our spot. I feel like the extra little bit of dirt we drove over was actually purposeful. So let's make sure this trailer gets turning back. This is a Crone trailer, if I remember correctly. We're going to be very close to that. Very close to that post over there. But we're just going to kind of wiggle our way back, I think. Okay, now we got to get it turning around so we don't hit the trailer on the other side, because we're going to be getting very close to that. So let's just actually straighten the truck up a little bit. Unfortunately, there is a light post here, but we go about there. Should have a better idea about what we're working with, especially on the far side there, which I do know I need to come back. Okay, let's do this. Proximity alert is probably going to potentially start beeping, unless if I turned it off. I can't remember what I did in this profile. So far, so good. You know what? I will take that. Not a bad reverse in terms of Prime Simulation standards. So, as I said, I will take that every day of the week. Thank you all so much for watching this incredible episode here in the Nordic Horizons DLC. Once again, a beautiful, beautiful region of the DLC here in Norway. Exploring some of the more northern sections, or the most northern section of the ETS2 map, which is incredible to see. Comment down below if you want to see anything in particular from me here in ETS2, and also let me know how you're enjoying the videos and the general styles that I've been doing. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.